child with autism, because I think if you have a child on the spectrum, they seem to understand a little bit better what the client needs.
Mm-hmm. I've been really lucky because it seems like in general, like it's like a big family. Like I worked in customer service for 10 years. I know in general how most customers are, and people are great. They feel really, lucky to find a place that makes a blanket they can afford, and I feel really lucky to have them. And I have a great return policy. If your blanket doesn't work out, I even pay for return shipping. So there's absolutely no investment in at least trying it for a few weeks. Because I understand that if your child doesn't like it, you need to be able to return it and not worry about that cost. So just for people that might think, well, that's expensive to just try if I'm just, going to try it out of the blue.
Well, I could understand.
Nice to have,
but like you say, if they put something heavy in the child's lap and to see how they respond to that, that can be a good gauge. And you have that return policy. I can't stress to people how important it is to have something heavy, be it a weighted vest or blanket. It really makes a difference. And I'm speaking from experience here. And I'm thinking perhaps there's some newly diagnosed cases of autism and their parents might be listening right now. And, these are things that can help. Now, about the diet, I know we've touched base on this before. The type of diet that you might use with your child on the spectrum. Would you like to talk about that for a few minutes?
So we're talking about food now?
Food. We're switching gears now, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to add, too, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. My oldest liked weighted things was when his therapist put a weighted ball in a backpack, and he wanted to walk around our apartment the rest of the night with that backpack on his back.
Wow.
So that's another way that kids like to get that. Yeah. And
if you want to continue with that, go ahead. If you want to continue with that, we can. I was just trying. We had so much we wanted to talk about, and gosh.
Right. No, I'm actually most interested in the food. Because,
all right.
At first, it's just overwhelming. Just all this new world, like you said. It's like, wow. And I was intimidated. I did not want to try anything, but my son ate peanut butter and jelly and drank milk morning, noon, and night at the time he was diagnosed. And we were told by his pediatrician it was just a phase, but I mean it. It was going on for a year, and he had not gained any weight for that whole year. He had the dark circles, and everybody kept saying the diet when I looked for information on support groups, like just try it. But professionals in our lives discouraged me, and I hate saying that because so many of them were so good to us in other ways, but honestly, every single professional I asked said, it's never been proven. It's not worth it. Don't go through the trouble.
Were they talking about the cost or the hassle?
Well, all of it, I think.
Okay.
But I kind of, that's almost what I wanted to hear at the time. Okay, one less thing to worry about trying. So a few months went by, and I said, I'm going to look into this more. I read Dr. Cartsinell's book with Jenny McCarthy, How to Heal and Prevent Autism, and it just opened my mind to food testing. I looked and looked for, his pediatrician would not test Luca for food allergies, even though I kept telling her, about problems with bowel movements, and everything was written off as a phase. It's a 2-year-old phase, it's a 3-year-old phase. But I knew in my heart it was more extreme than that. So in the meantime, we cut out dairy, and for a year before we had him tested, we were pretty good about keeping dairy out because we just saw the results in his behavior and his bodily functions. When he didn't have dairy, everything was better. So then we got him tested through a chiropractor who agreed he needed to be tested after not gaining any weight now for going on 2 years. And he had pages on the IgE, food allergy and sensitivity. His only real food allergies there was about 5 of them, which included peanuts, wheat, eggs, soy. So we had this very restrictive diet, and it was just, talk about overwhelming. At that point, I just didn't know what to do. But we cut out all of his allergens, and we slowly cut out some other stuff. And honestly, no, we haven't cut out everything that is on those pages. But we have seen such great improvement, and we take it like one day at a time. And I intend that they actually have that test. That test was done in 6 vials. They have the same test you can do in a finger prick now, which is great for our sensory kids. Just one finger prick.
That is a good thing.
And I want to get him retested and see maybe if you cut out the strongest allergens, those sensitivities might decrease or go away too, But I saw huge changes. Everything I had read about, it was like he was going from being so constipated, making 1 or 2 bowel movements a month, to going every day, like he should, like a person should. And he was actually putting on, just a few ounces here and there, but he has gained weight since then, and he still does struggle with that. But the words, he did not put together words. It was all echolalia. He never said his own thoughts or emotions. He would just repeat you. If you said, "Do you want juice?" he would say, "Do you want juice?" And once we started really, really hardcore about no gluten, no dairy, he was, we can't get him to stop telling us what he's thinking now. So when we go on vacation, when his diet is not as strict, it goes back to the echolalia, back to the babbling and jibber-jabber constantly and not talking in sentences and not making any bowel movements for days or weeks at a time. And people, are really beginning to see the brain-gut connection. Even organizations like Autism Speaks, which denied it, a lot of parents' stories for a long time. I shouldn't say they denied it, but, now they're studying the brain-gut connection. And I can see it with my sons totally. If I give them food dyes, especially, their behavior is not the same, and they cannot concentrate. And this is why those same dyes are outlawed in Europe, because they cause those symptoms in children. So it's important for parents just to really watch everything that gets put into their children's body, especially if they believe their kids have a behavioral problem. It could be as simple as what they're eating. And
even Cheerios. Cheerios has red dye in it, and a lot of people don't realize that red dye can be a trigger for some children with different behavior issues and those on the spectrum. And I want to make it clear that just because a child is declared autistic does not mean that he is a behavior problem, or her. I wanted to make that clear to people. But I agree with you. The food, the diet, it's all interconnected with the gut, mind, brain thing. And the book that you alluded to earlier, I think I remember reading that early on, and I think they spoke about how to do the diet or the food sensitivities very in layman's term where I could understand it. I don't have a master's or anything like that. And I think you've mentioned some cost-effective ways to do the diet. I know that the applesauce at Walmart, for instance, is gluten-free, the Walmart applesauce.
Well, we found early on that the less we bought prepackaged, you can't just assume, it's dairy-free and gluten-free, so it's good. Because a lot of the gluten-free foods are even more full of sugars and starches. We just started really going from buying mostly everything in a box or a bag to learning how to make my own chocolate, gummies, fruit, roll-ups. All these recipes are really simple. Like everything your child likes, try to find a healthier version to make at home. And buy in bulk. We started shopping at Costco, and you can do it online if there isn't a store like that near you. We order a lot of our gluten-free things, like gluten-free flour, coconut oil, and shredded coconut from online stores. in larger quantities at a time, which really saves us a lot of money because health food store prices can be ridiculous. And we have found that avoiding most grains, paleo is a diet which is mostly meat, vegetables, and fruit, and no grains. And that has not only been, better for our health overall, but better for our wallets because the bread and all the gluten-free everything is just so expensive. And people get turned off by making stuff at home. But a lot of these recipes, they're things, you just melt. A lot of things are no-bake. You don't even have to cook. They're 2 or 3 ingredients. And you can feel really good about giving it to your kids. Like, I can give my kids fruit gummies and chocolate for breakfast because sugar-free and made from 5 things. Like,
now, do you use honey?
Yes.
It's
and
a wonderful
coconut
sweetener.
Sugar is big.
Really? Coconut sugar?
Excuse me.
That does sound good.
Yeah,
coconut
that's
sugar.
low glycemic.
I'll have to look into that one.
So,
I'm always learning new things.
People get really intimidated because, like, we went into it. We used to spend so much money, but I think it's really about just almost playing it like a game. Like, this is going to be fun. We're going to make one change a week, and like, let's try to find the best deal. And you might end up having to shop, like I said, online and in a few different places in where you live, but it's all totally worth it, and it's totally doable, especially local farmers markets. We joined a farmers co-op, and for $400 for 22 weeks, we got a bushel a week of produce. It was a great deal. And he was not certified organic, but, we trusted him. And you can find great deals like that if you're willing to look, which is also a great experience for kids to get out in the community and see their farmer.
I agree, local contacts. And I threw away our microwave, I guess about 10 years ago, about the time of the diagnosis, or 8 years ago. And that was one of the best things I ever did, to truly cook from scratch. And it doesn't take that much more time, and the food is healthier. Sometimes in my area, we have a store that sells, like, it's near the data expiration. And I've gotten a lot of healthy foods, I could tell they were from Whole Foods. That's a good thing to try. And we have a local grocery store that's statewide, and you walk in, and underneath some of the food items, they'll have a sign, and it says gluten-free. Down every aisle, there's something that's gluten-free. It's a wonderful store. It's called Reezer's. I wish they had that type of store in every state. I mean, how much easier would it have been for everyone to have something like that? And, like Fritos. Did you know Fritos are gluten-free?
Yeah, I did know that. My son loves. Also, I've heard Aldi's, and I found some good organic granola and different stuff in Aldi's.
Oh, they do. We've gone to that one.
In most states.
Yeah, and good prices at Aldi's. Great prices at Aldi's. They should be paying me for commercials. My goodness.
Get a huge bag of broccoli, huge bag of green beans, or organic, frozen vegetables at Costco, and it is okay. So I have to get these things in bulk. I have a lot of it at once, but it's worth it, because if you get those frozen bags somewhere else organic, you're going to spend over twice as much. So it is out there. People do get intimidated. It's not as easy as just being able to go to one store and shop for everything, but it's actually been, beneficial for our whole family, not just our sons. But I've had health issues as well being resolved because I can feel less brain fog and see my symptoms resolve. It's all about rebuilding your body and your cells, and I totally believe that these connections are forming, and that nutrition is key to rebuilding those connections in their brain.
Right. I think you're absolutely right on